ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Katib Nabiyyin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Dear beloved Muslims, assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, we're thankful to Allah, highly glorified to see for once again allowing us to unite for this wonderful day and this part of the day, the Jumu'ah and the Jumu'ah Salat. Very, very significant for our lives in terms of our development and our worship and devotion to Allah. In fact, it is a sign of faith. You know, the call says, the verse says that when the call is proclaimed, that you move quickly to the remembrance of Allah. That's important. Because that's what happened in life, so many distractions. And that's how people lose focus. That's how people come up short. Because they allow themselves to be constantly distracted. Opportunities, resources, money, whatever it is. So the verse says, first of all, the reason why it's a test of the faith, because first it addresses the faithful, meaning that the call is not just for anyone. The call is strictly for the faithful, those who believe in the system. See, because everything we do in Al-Islam, we say, is Deen, it is a clear system that is leading towards something. Now, remember I talked about before, and you look at any business, you look at any assembly line, all those assembly lines are structured in such a way that as they go through that system, here's the end result. See? As they go through the process, it starts in a small state, but over time, through all the mixing, all of the additives and all the structure, as they go through that process, you get a result. You get a car. That's why I told you before, Malcolm said that not did you have a slave, but there was a slave-making system. That once that human being went through that process, the end result of the wicked was to produce a servant or person that was totally dependent on them and was a beast of burden to serve their interests. So as we go through this system that Allah has laid out, it's for the faithful. We go through that process. It is designed to produce some strong human beings who are worshipers of Allah, those who do good, those who forbid wrong. Need some strong human beings. So as we go through the system called Deen al-Islam, this system is laid out in such a way we have to be conscious that we can't get distracted. See, because if you're on that sinning line, if anything is missed, it's not going to have the end result that you're looking for. So if the guy on the sinning line, turn his head and then the thing go past him, he missed the beat. His distraction can cause a problem. So if we stay on this path, stay committed to the process, realize that our power is in our focus. That's why we have Qibla. See, the Qibla, the orientation, gives us our focus. And that's where your power is when you're scattered. That's weakness. We talk over and over again, all you Boy Scouts, all of you been into the wilderness, you know that you've been trained and taught that when the sun is just beaming, it really burns nothing. Allah is so merciful that when the sun hit us, may feel a little heat, feel a little warmth, people may get a little tone, a shade darker. That's the power of the sun, but what it's doing for your body. But with that same energy, you've been taught in the wilderness and the wild that you take that same energy and you put it up on the magnifying glass and focus that energy, you can ignite a fire. Because that's the power of focus. And when we get distracted, we lose our power. So Allah says that when you hear the call, hasten earnestly to the remembrance of Allah. Look, realize what that's going to do for you. Worship Him, praise Him, ask for His forgiveness, ask for His mercy in your life. And then He said when the prayer is over, then you disperse. Go back into your avenues of production. Don't miss anything. But this is part of the process. This is part of your development. It is very vital. It's so vital, that's why He said, whatever you're engaged in, let it go for greater concern. That's important, but this right here, responding to the call for Jumu'ah, which Allah brings all the human beings together who serve Him, He says you get your benefit. Because he says after the prayer, then go back into your avenues of production. So don't miss anything. This is going to get you your restoration. It's going to do something for your spirit. It's going to relieve the burden that Allah, you beg that Allah will forgive you for whatever you've done prior to this Jumu'ah. So we thank Allah, highly glorified as He, for this opportunity. It's a great opportunity to serve Him, to be His servant. That's why last week we talked about the ideal of deen. And I tell you, the young man who was a Christian told me, he said, I got to get on my deen. And you know, that's usually terms that Muslims use, this way. I got to get on my deen. He fell off a little bit, fell short. He said, I got to get back on my deen. We usually hear Muslims say that because we associate the term deen with something about al-Islam. When in fact, deen literally means a way. That brother said, I got to get back on my way. I done fell off of my path. That's why even in the Quran where it says to the unbelievers, the rejectors of faith, it said, it ends with, to me be my way, and to you be yours. To me be my way, and to you be yours. That you have a way. The fact Allah said, this is the way that leads straight to Him. And all that you go through on this way, on this path, is still leading you to Allah. And you're going to go through some things. That's part of the maturation process. That's part of the growth and the development. You're going to go through some things. That's how you become stronger. That's how you become a greater servant. We talk all the time that smooth seas don't make great sailors. I hope you understand what that means. All this ease in life, you ain't growing. I haven't seen anybody really, really grow, really, really get strong and proficient at anything if they didn't have a challenge. So you're on the water, you want the guy that had the experience that can navigate through the storm, or you want the person that just got on the water? You want the person who's been through something. They've qualified themselves to at least be equipped enough to navigate. Now, nobody's going to determine what's going to happen, but you have a little more confidence in a person who've experienced something. Because that experience has developed them in such a way that they know exactly how to operate in those conditions. So Allah said, this is a way, even though you're going to have some challenges. He said He created you to face challenges, but this is the way that leads straight to Him. So the young man said to me, he said, I got to get on my deen. I thought about it, I said, now, he know what he's talking about, his way. And you have to get on your way and recognize what your way is doing for your development, what it's doing for your mind, what it's doing for your spirit, what it's doing for your soul, how it's maturing you. To me be my way, until you be yours. And you become comfortable with your way. That you realize what your way adds, how it adds value to your life. So we thank Allah for this opportunity to be in Jumu'ah, by which we come to hear the Quran and some of the life of Muhammad the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to deal with those affairs, the issues that will help us to become more aware of how we deal in the world, and just to help us to grow and mature as servants of Allah, highly glorified. Allah says in the Quran that to Him belong the most beautiful name, the most excellent names. To Him belong the most excellent names. And when we think of Masjid Al Hadi, you know, He is one of those excellent names. Allah says He is Al Hadi. He is the guide. He's the guider. He's the one that is leading this group who serve Him towards prosperity, towards goodness, towards good living. He says He's Al Hadi. So when we think of Masjid Al Hadi, we talking about a masjid that is structured, that the information, the education comes to lead people to a better life. That's what guidance is all about. Guidance is about leading you to a better life. That's what all intelligent beings want. Intelligent beings want a better life. And you're never too old to get a better life. Because you get to a certain level in your life where the material things lose real interest to you. And then you begin to start to work on your soul. I got to get my soul right. I have to get my mind right. I have to get my body right. I have to get to a certain level of comfort as a growing being. So Allah says that this is a way that leads straight to Him. That's why from the very premise we talked about the distractions. The verse says, and be not like those who forget about Allah, and He caused them to forget about their own soul. Wow. That's a group I don't want to be a part of. Those who forget about themselves. See, because when you start to forget about your own soul, you become a self-abuser. I hope you understand what I'm saying to you now. Where everything about us as servants of Allah is supposed to be working for self-preservation, not self-abuse, self-preservation. We're working to preserve the quality and the life Allah didn't give you, but He put in your charge. It don't belong to you. So we have to work hard to preserve the life, because everything in creation, other than the human being, works to preserve itself. You see any animals abusing themselves? No. They move on instinct. You see any plants abusing themselves? No, everything works on instinct. What is driven inside them from the guidance Allah already gave them in their nature. But the human being who has been granted free will, he does everything to preserve the greatness that Allah gave him, the sacredness of life. So He said, to Him belong the most beautiful name. Excellence. That's what the word used there, husna, excellence. That's why we talked last week about the hadith where Muhammad the Prophet ﷺ said that when the believer endeavors a task, he seeks excellence. How are we going to be a reflection, a servant of Allah, and our lifestyle does not reflect excellence? That's why I say, to Him belong the most excellent names. If we're serving Him, we're a reflection of Him, our lifestyle is on this path called Deen al-Islam, then whatever we do, excellence should be the top priority. We shouldn't be driven for sloppiness. We shouldn't be driven by indecency. We should be driven and moved by excellence. That's why when you hear the word Hassan, is one who comes to make things better, to beautify and make things better. That's why Allah says to Muhammad the Prophet that inside Muhammad, that inside Muhammad, not outside of him, not how he dressed, fi Rasulullah. Inside Muhammad, you have an example of excellence, an excellent model. That's how we're going to grow and evolve a community. If you're going to grow and evolve a community, excellence must be the standard. If excellence is not the standard, then that community will not have an impact in the world. So He said, inside Muhammad, you have an excellent standard of character. The uswa. Here's another verse where Allah says, and it's a beautiful verse. It says, and Allah loves the doers of good, the muhsineen. You understand that? That Allah says, those who serve people, those who are driven by excellence, those who are adding value to people's lives and impacting society. Allah said He loves them. Don't you want to be loved by Allah? See, if you want to be loved by Allah, all you have to do is do good. He said He loves the doers of good. You want to help people. You want to give your zakat. You want to give sadaqah. Don't you know there's a difference between zakat and sadaqah? That's why you hear the brother say, don't forget your zakat, don't forget your sadaqah. They're not saying the same thing. These are two different worlds. Because zakat has everything to do with you giving out of obligation. And I want you to understand what zakat means. It means to purify. It means to increase, and it means to grow. To purify, to increase, and to grow. But sadaqah is another subject. Sadaqah has everything to do with not an obligation. Sadaqah is following the natural impulses of your heart. It comes from the word Siddiq, the truthful. That's what Muhammad the Prophet, peace be upon him, was called. He was called as-Siddiq. Sadaqah is following the natural impulses to do good. It is not an obligation. My heart tells me to give this brother $20. And when I follow that impulse, because sometimes you say, I should give, no, I ain't gonna give to him. See, that you didn't wipe the sadaqah out. Because your heart says, I want to help this person. So if you follow the natural impulses of your heart, you are aiding the person not out of obligation, but the desire to serve. So he says that he loved those who do good. I want to talk a little bit about goodness as we go into the next ayat that we want to talk about. Allah says, Inna hadiha ummatakum ummatu wahid wa anna rabbikum fa'abidun. Verily, this ummah of yours is one community, and I am your evolver, therefore serve me. That right there is a powerful verse. Verily, this community, see, you know, you've heard the word ummah, you've heard the word ummi, you've heard the word You've heard people talk about mother and the power of motherhood. They call the earth itself Mother Earth. They call common sense Mother Wit. Mother is powerful. It is so powerful. They talk about Muhammad the Prophet, peace be upon him. The man said, "Who should I respond to? Who should I give my attention to?" Said your mother. Asked the same question. Who should I give my attention? Who should I have my concern for? He said, your mother. Who should I respond to? Said your mother. And it wasn't until the fourth time that Pops came into the picture. Mother. So Allah says your community is just like a mother who carries life, who nurtures life, and then delivers that life. And in the process of caring, nurturing, and caring for that life, that mother make all kinds of sacrifices for that growing life that is in her womb. In the Hadi Jumuah, one ummah. That's why we talk about Allah. Allah is al-Jami. He brings oneness. He brings all of these resources together for a particular purpose. Inni hadiha ummatukum ummatan wahid wa anna rabbikum fa'abidun. Mother, carrying life, being inconvenienced with developing that life. And that's how you see a community. A community must have the interest of developing life. If it doesn't develop life and give the life the nutrients it needs, you have a weak community. That's why Imam Muhammad teaches us, he taught us that the highest expression of life is community life. Now when you think of your life more time of your life is spent outside your home than it is inside your home. Unless there's something else going on. Naturally, you're out amongst people, shopping, school, leisure, in the park. The highest expression of life is when human beings are engaging with one another. That the empathy, the care, the concern is extended. That's why Muhammad the Prophet said he's not of us who goes to bed and his neighbor's hungry. How can you have a strong community and your friends and people you know are going to bed hungry and you have? That means that a community must have sensitivities. If it doesn't have social sensitivities, it can't grow and evolve as a powerful institution that will impact any society it's in. So Allah said, verily this ummah of yours is one ummah and I am your Rabb. Now he lets us know who he is in our life. I know you heard the verse where it talks about, and Allah is your Lord, and I talked to you before about, you've heard Lord, you've heard landlord, you've heard the Lords of London, you heard that Tarzan was the Lord of the jungle. Rabb is a whole different meaning. Rabb is the one that's nurturing you from a small state. You thought about Tarzan being the Lord, he just over some people, right? You say Allah is your Lord, but this Rabb, this attribute Rabb, that's why we started with, said that Allah said the most beautiful names belong to Allah. He is Rabb, he is one of those beautiful names. And Imam Muhammad said that Rabb carries with it the meaning of care, concern, and nourishment that is given to something in its weak state, to progress it to its mature state, so that it is strong enough it will be able to carry on the function, plan, and design for it. That's wrong. That Allah is taking you from smallness to bigness. He's taking you from weakness to power. He's taking you from darkness and allowing you to evolve into enlightenment. He's allowing you to shift different stages of your development, that you're growing spiritually. You're growing intellectually. You're growing morally. You're growing in your spirit. You're growing in your feelings. Rabb is the one that's taking you from a small state so that now you become strong enough to carry out the function for your life. That's why Rabb is connected to the mother. Allah is the one that's nurturing the life that's in her body so that life can be strong enough that when she delivers the life is on this destiny to make a contribution to the world. So Rabb is different from Lord. Rabb is the one that has care. Allah cares about you. Rabb has the meaning of concern. Allah is concerned about you. And we have to be concerned about one another because that's where life begins. Life begins with concern. And the life and the death of a people is seen in their concern. If you have no concern, little life. But where there's big concern, there's great life. Look at people who have no concern for each other. When we talk about poverty, begging, abuse, drug addiction, people in the mud, care. Life begins with concern. And Shaitan says, Allah says about Shaitan that he threatens you with poverty. You know the devastation of poverty on the people? All you got to do is look at what poverty does for people. Poverty does not inspire the greatness in a human being. Poverty is the enemy to prosperity. That's why Allah says Shaitan threatens you with poverty. That's why most people won't give to other people, because they believe if I give, I ain't going to have. Can't give mine, then I'm going to be lacking. But see, according to this book, Allah said that when you give, He'll multiply your giving. He is the multiplier of whatever you give. He will increase your giving. You got to believe in the process. That's why I told you before, the deen is just like the assembly line. He said, this is Deen al-Islam. This is the way called al-Islam, the way of peace, the way of submission. Deen al-Fitr, the natural way. When you get on this path, just like the assembly line, when you get on that assembly line, it starts with a concept, it starts with a frame, and as it goes down that line, it grows into something bigger. And when you get on this path, and you follow this path, no matter how zigzag it may be, you're going to become a better human being as a result of going through that process. But you got to have sensitivity. You have to care for people. Because Rab says that Allah is the one who is nourishing the life, so that the life is strong enough to make its contribution to life. You got to make a contribution. Muhammad the Prophet ﷺ said that the best of you is he or she who is most useful to society. Do you see yourself as being useful to society? Do you see yourself working as a tool for the renovation and elevation of society? Or do you see yourself as one who's always taking from rather than giving? He said, the best of you is he who is most useful to society. So the verse is, Inni hadiha ummatukum ummatu wahid wa anna rabbikum fa'abudun. And Allah says, I am your evolver. You see how Allah makes himself known to us? I am your evolver. And then when you reflect on what Allah has done for you as your evolver, what he's done in your life, what he's done for you, and what he's doing for you now at this moment, he says, therefore, serve me. Ah, that's powerful. When you think about everything Allah has done for you, who else should you serve? He said he gave you life, he gave you opportunity, he gave you skills, he said he gave you all your faculties. Who else should you serve? Therefore, as a result of you knowing who Allah is in your life, he says, therefore, serve me. In other words, when you serve Allah, he lifts you up. There's no position greater than being Abdul. You can't go no higher than a slave servant of Allah. There's no higher position in the world any human being can have had than to take the idea that I'm a slave servant of Allah. I'm doing his will, I'm doing his work, I'm serving his cause, and I'm aiding to life. He says, and I am your evolver, therefore serve me. He's equipped this community. We have to come into the awareness, that Allah wants us to be strong. Remember we talked last time about power? You can't serve Allah in weakness. That's why Rab said, the meaning, Imam Muhammad said, that Allah is taking something in its weak state to progress it to its mature state. We have to become economically mature. We have to become financially mature. We have to become politically mature. We have to become culturally and socially mature, that we're not disengaged from people. Some people believe that when they become spiritual, they become disconnected from people. There's another verse, Allah says, Kairata ummata ukhrija linnas, that you are the best group of people brought out, not for Muslims, but for all people. Ukhrija, you're brought out from something. If you was in the dark world, you're brought out from that. Allah said, once you make this declaration of faith, he bring you from that. And now you just can't keep it to yourself. Now you take that inspiration, you take that life, that energy, and you serve people. Linaz. So we have to grow economically strong. We have to grow politically strong so we can make changes in society and the world. Because as believers, we see ourselves connected to the earth. We don't see ourselves just as citizens of America. We see ourselves as Abdullah, servants of Allah. We see ourselves as citizens of the earth. You understand that? And Hajj is a big picture of you seeing how you are part of the human family all over the earth. So it says, Khairatu ummatu ukhrija linnas, going back to community. Allah says you are the best community brought out for people. He ain't brought out for Muslims. Don't think you are to serve Muslims. You are brought out for people. See, that's that smallness when you're brought out to think that you're just working for the growth of Muslims. As a servant of Allah, you are driven by serving human beings. Why? Because those human beings have been created from Rabbah. That's why you don't disrespect a person just because they don't believe the way you believe. That's not how you do that. You will say, to me be my way and to be yours. But you realize that's a human being that Allah himself created. That's why you see a person, a man, a woman in the mud, got major problems. It's not your job to disrespect that person. It's your job to call that person to respect, to call that person to dignity, to call that person to Allah and to themselves. So the verse is, Khairatu ummatu ukhrija linnas, that you are the best group of people brought out to serve people. Because now you're talking about a social being, sociability, connection. When you have community, you have communication. Most people, when they're in masjids, they're in musalla, they have no awareness of who they are. The person next to you have no awareness who they are, what they do, how they can help you, or how you can help them. That oftentimes when the salat is over, people go about their business. But if you're going to have a community, Allah said you're the best group of people brought out to serve all people. If you're going to have a community, that community must engage with each other. I have to know who you are, what you do. I have to know this is community life. And if it's going to be a community, I have to know what makes up who you are. How can you assist me whatever I'm engaged in? So the more we know about each other, the stronger we become. That's why Allah says He's Al-Jami, He's the gatherer. See, we gather together doctors, lawyers, business people, teachers, nurses. See, all this resource, all this potential and power. But if we are to be a community, we must know what all those people represent. So when you leave here today, you should be engaged to find out somebody you didn't know, who they are, what's their name, what is it that you do, here's what I do, how can we build a relationship? In the Hadi Jumuah wahid, wa anna rabbikum fa'abudun. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adhaban. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, so Allah says that this is the way that leads straight to Him. We talked about Deen, this way. It's just a way. That's why we say Deen al-Islam. See, this is the way of submission. Deen al-Fitra, this is the way of the nature, the natural path. There's so much unnatural behavior you see in society today. We say that this is a way that is consistent, that complements the nature Allah gave the human being. So Deen. And think about what the Deen can do, how the Deen can impact lives. It has been proven to do that. It has done it. It does it time and time again. It's al-Islam if you give your life to it. If you submit your will to Allah, it will transform your life. It will make you a better human being. Why? Because you're now under the influence of Rabbil Alameen. You're under the influences of the Rabb, who is nourishing you, taking you from stage to stage until you achieve a level of completion. There's a story about a man who saw, there's a preacher and a soap maker. And the preacher and the soap maker is walking down the street. They talking about religion, and the preacher's telling the soap man what religion does and how religion can make your life better, make you more productive. Not just make you spiritual, but make you more productive in the world. You can benefit from the natural resource. You can see opportunity and seize those opportunities. That religion, realigning your life back to God, that's what religion is. That's what we call deen. It's allowing you to reconnect your life back to the source. He said, the soap man said, you talking all this good stuff about what religion does for people. I don't really believe that it does that. And then the preacher said, well, what about that little dirty little boy over there sitting on that curb? Now, the soap man said, now, that don't work until you use it. See, soap ain't gonna do nothing for your body until you put it on it. When you start working the soap in your body, it starts to pull the residue of dirt off your body. And then the preacher said, well, that's the same for religion. See, most people just won't use it. If they use the religion, if they apply the religious principles in their lives, it will make a major difference in their lives and those they engage with and how they use that life to impact other people. So when we take these principles and we apply these spiritual, lofty principles in our lives, we will be better human beings. We have renewed spirit. That's what we need. We need a renewed spirit. When Allah says He brought you out, ukhrija linnas, and those who know Arabic, you know courage. This exit, if you go anywhere, you see Arabic, exit on the door, courage, He brought you out. So you're exiting one state. You're exiting one world. I don't care if you was in the financial world. I don't care if you was in the dead world. Allah said He brought you out of that world to impact other lives. That's why the testimony is so important. The testimony is so important because when you give the testimony of where you've been and what you've done, people can see what's possible for them. See, most people are ashamed about what happened yesterday. I used to get high, I was on drugs, I was in jail, I had a bankruptcy, I had a repossession, I lost. They're ashamed of that. They cover it up, they don't even talk about it. But see, you have to realize that the testimony of the experience will help you to aid others to show them what's possible of how you overcame, of how you came from the brinks of disaster. The brinks of disaster, financial ruin. And by the grace of Allah, you was able to bounce back. And when you tell that testimony, you know what it does for people? That you overcame drugs, that you was homeless, and I got out of Islam and I took my Shahada and it did something for my spirit. And I shared that with other people. People then can see it's possible for me. That's why you have all these support groups. And the first thing those support groups do is they have people bear witness of what this done for me. Whether it's a weight loss program, whether it's alcohol program, whether it's gambling anonymous, all these groups show the power of a testimony, showing people, if I've done it, it's possible for you. They say, you don't understand. Yes, I do. Let me tell you. Because that's what most people will tell you. You don't understand what I'm going through. But if you never tell them what you've gone through, they would think you don't understand. That's why I love when Malcolm said, listen, Malik al-Hashibah said, look, the problem is not having been a criminal. The problem is remaining one. So ain't nothing wrong with saying that's what I used to do. Because it's a sign of your growth and your development. But to be 35 years old or 40 years old and you still doing what you did when you were 16, then that's a problem. And most times that's what they call in psychological terms arrested development. That even though you may be 45, your development has been arrested back at 16 or 15. That the guy that's 45 or 50 years old is still on the corner hanging out with the guy who's 17. His development has been arrested long, long time ago, although he's now grown physically as a human being, mentally, morally, and spiritually, he's still operating like a baby. So we talk about Deen al-Islam. This is a way that if we follow this way, it's going to allow us to be better, productive human beings in the path of Allah, how to glorify Him. One verse and we close it. Because this verse right here talks about how Allah lifts up human beings. And He lifts us up for a purpose. He raised us. In fact, He said He raised some of us above others. Listen to the verse. It says, it is He who has made you rulers, inheritors of the earth. He has raised you and ranked some above others, that He may try you with the gifts that He has given you. For you evolve as quick in punishment, yet He is indeed all forgiving, most merciful. He already said that He made you the ruler in the earth. When we talk about power, Allah said He made you the ruler and He made you the inheritor. That you've coming behind somebody else who laid the groundwork. We're talking about this pathic and this deen. They've already put the work in. And you're coming behind them where it's a little easier. That's what the Caliph is. You're coming behind those who've already laid out the groundwork. But as you do that, He said that, listen, He said He has raised some of you in ranks above others. That's service, that He may test you with what He has given you. So what Allah gave you, how He allowed you to have more than others, see yourself as a tool working to aid the less fortunate. That's why Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, do not look up to those who are more superior to you, but look down to those who are less fortunate. By chance, you may appreciate what Allah has given you. You know, you heard that saying before about the guy who was complaining about his shoes. Shoes is tight, shoes are old, until he saw the man with no shoes, no feet. And he stopped complaining about his shoes. It ain't no big deal. So you don't start looking up to others above you, because when you start doing it, you start shrinking. I wish I had what they had. No, appreciate what Allah has given you, and then take what He gave you and allow it to use as a tool working for the renovation and elevation of people. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.